Welcome back, everybody. We're here for another week to talk smack about what's been in the news, what's been in our lives, and the whack-ass stuff of the world. Yeah. Just going to lead with that. Might as well throw it right out there. Yeah. So I'm Lisa. I'm here with Tina and Tony.
Hey, guys.
And everybody knows Tony. He's our BFF internet sleuth. Anthon7Y Andrews on X, formerly known as Twitter. Always Twitter in our hearts.
And Tony's TikTok on TikTok.
That's right. So go say hi to Tony either on X or TikTok. Tina, how's your week been, girl? Was it like laying on the street, or how'd you find it?
Right. No, I'm kidding. We did my organization through a May Day event, and there's nothing better than putting your head into something, organizing something. I didn't even think about my phone. It was very helpful. Oh. The weather was great, and I felt. I'm getting to the point where crossing things off my list isn't even giving me dopamine, so that's also very sad.
Serious.
I know. But this worked. So I don't know if it was the combination of working with other like-minded people, but the event, we had a DJ. I love a good dance party. And my kids, we have an artistic arm to our organization, and they go and do they're called the Shenanigans, and they go and do all of this artwork out in the city with kids. And they hosted a sidewalk garden. And so the whole park, we had the sidewalks cleared off and all of this chalk out there. And when I tell you that my 14-year-old and 16-year-old literally played with chalk without their phones for over an hour.
That's unheard of, dude.
Very big deal. So, but then the May Day event was in honor of workers' rights that they're really trying to take away. Guys, I hope you realize that the 8-hour workday was not a thing until, the past 100 years. So,
yeah. Well, and there's so much that we could talk, so many different angles we could go when it comes to the 8-hour workday and AI and everything else. I mean, look at all the jobs being cut because of AI. I mean, I know, who was it that, besides Spirit Airlines that just went under, but who was it that just cut several tens of thousands of jobs? I forget, it was another big company.
Wasn't it like a social media or some sort of media company?
And it had to do with the optimization of, efficiency and basically AI.
Hey, robots don't call in, Tony, okay? We don't have emotional support days.
They can work 24/7.
Yes, they can.
Yeah.
And, but I did want to say, there is a man that is organizing a way for the people to buy Spirit Airlines. So I recommend going, because seriously, he did the math on it, and if everyone gives 50 cents, we could have our own airline. So that's the kind of shit we need to be doing. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, and if we'd been in a normal timeline here, the last, 15, 20 years, we could have been applying good effort toward being ready for the AI revolution, instead of all the stupid things we've been worried about instead.
Well, to me, AI is the newest version of the Bible, if that makes sense. It's controlled by the powers that be and written by the powers that be.
Yeah, it's going to do what they tell it to do.
Exactly.
Garbage in, garbage out.
And we've already, it's funny you say that, because I remember in 5th grade, my very first computer class, and it was 1980. And, we had those old computers.
They had computers?
They had computers, and we even had a computer class.
I'm joking.
And it was an Amica, or what is it?
Yeah. You had a stone and a hammer.
And the very first thing they taught us was garbage in, garbage out. And, if you put bad stuff in, the bad stuff's going to come out, or you're going to get bad results.
I just always try to remember Sweaty Peter Thiel is in charge of AI. So if that it can't be good if Sweaty Peter is in charge.
Well,
there's a good book about, what's it called? It's called Life 3.0 by Max Tegmark. if you're interested.
Hmm.
Walking through.
What's about Sweaty Peter? Why is so sweaty?
It includes Sweaty Peter. It's about being human in the age of artificial intelligence.
Well, and I've said several times before too, is, everybody thinks AI was going to be the end of this and end of us as a civilization once it becomes, self-aware or whatever, just like Terminator. But the end of us already was the lack of controls of information on the internet. I mean, we had, we just, the internet just kind of came, and nobody did anything to.
Well, it's like we're not mature enough to have the full.
Yes. We can't have nice things because we can't use logic,
Well, with anything, like, again, and I think we've talked about this as far as AI and all of this technology goes, it's the yin and the yang of things. It could literally transform our lives, transform people with chronic illness. Like, we have the science to do these things to improve people's lives, but there also has to be regulations on these sort of things because of bad actors. And the bad actors are just in charge right now, and they're the ones making the rules. So it's like, it's all yang, no yin.
And they're getting rid of all the regulations on all the things that have protected us for years already.
Yeah.
Getting rid of vaccine mandates, getting rid of, pollution regulations. I mean, they're basically dismantling all of those things. So we can only imagine the lack of concern about regulating AI from their end of the thing. So,
well, it's very much the vibe again of they're not planning to stay here. Like, I don't, and sorry, where's my hat? My kid stole it again. But I bought some more foil, so I'll make another one. But I mean, why do they need the clean water for the data centers? Where is the water going? Like, what are they powering? Why don't they care? Where are they going to even spend their billions of dollars if they ruin everything here? So again, it just tells me that they have other plans.
Well, I mean, the one that seems most obvious that I've read about is just these new cities, these new nations,
smart cities that they're going to force us to live in.
These tech cities that and they won't necessarily force us to live in. They'll if they force us to live in some of these newer cities, it'll be as the worker slaves to meet their needs. But ultimately, these digital currency cities, we're seeing them. Was it Prospera down in Honduras? I think I know in.
It's like when they try to put titles on things to like just me calling it Prospera means that it's rich. It's like I see all of these lower prices on every grocery store that I drove past yesterday. And I'm like, bitch, no, it's not. Just because you're putting that sign out does not mean that you're you spent more money on the sign instead of, lowering the actual prices. You're like, oh, we got to afford this sign. I'm like, just because you're putting the title on it does not mean that it is the thing. But I digress.
Well, and the thing is you have to look at, especially with this tariff stuff that they're fighting now in terms of the refunds or whatever.
Oh yeah,
we're the ones that paid it all, but the corporations are going to get paid again for it, and they were the ones. And the tariff was just another version of them price gouging us as they've had before. Shrinkflation and everything else. Even your bacon is now only 12 ounces instead of 16 ounces.
Yeah,
but
they find creative ways to give you less for the same dollar. Yeah.
Guys, you know what fell through my algorithm earlier today? I can't even believe it. Marjorie Taylor Greene. I haven't seen her in a while, so her rebrand is going very well. But she showed up in my algorithm, so the rebrand is going well. But she had on this man who was he's a Iranian American, which I can't. She's not racist anymore. I don't know, But he was on there specifically to talk about how he has not paid taxes legally for the past 30 years living here.
Mm-hmm.
Because she was like, I don't think, no one wants to pay their taxes anymore. And so here's how you can legally do it.
I feel like legally is carrying a lot of weight in that sentence because I don't see how that's possible.
I didn't watch the whole thing because I felt like it's gonna tag me through there somehow. I felt wrong listening to her because I still can't agree with her, even though I would have liked to finish watching it.
It's like,
but it just was like the complete opposite of the Marjorie that I've ever known.
That's like Tucker Carlson. He seems to be on a redemption tour too.
And, I still, of course, I don't trust either one of them.
No,
Tucker's
absolutely
been a
not.
Russian stooge forever. Marjorie Taylor Greene, I go back to her wearing, that MAGA outfit at State of the Union, all of that stuff. And
her money stopped. Wherever it's coming. Russia was like, you're not doing a very good job. I don't know.
Was she an explore talent person?
She, not as far as I know. Somebody had thought that she was. Somebody commented to me, but I haven't seen her being an export talent.
Yeah, no.
But yeah, unless they were doing
with
like,
a niche,
how people
very
have
niche
feet fetishes, like three toe fetishes.
Yeah. The CrossFit, like she probably did some weird bodybuilding. Never mind, I'm done.
So, but two things about the Marjorie Taylor Greene thing is she's currently a great example of somebody who is the opposite of what Lindsey Graham and Marco Rubio and Ted Cruz were, because there's clips of them in 2016 saying how bad Trump was, saying all the things that we know, and now they're out there. Even Lindsey yesterday was praising him yet again, and now Marjorie Taylor Greene has flipped the narrative completely, and it's nice to see. It's unfortunate that she discredited herself enough that many of us are still not going to buy it.
No one's ever going to take her seriously.
Well, but I'm serious. Like, again, I'm still with you guys on this, but knowing my own mental changes, not mental changes, but like
evolution.
Yes, the more information that I get and look for myself and talk through with you guys and anybody who's listening here through the comments and learning new ideas, I definitely have changed where I sit, and it might not be as dramatic as Marjorie Taylor Greene, and I was not a fucking devil like she was videotaping kids after school shooting. Like, she did some really nasty shit, okay? But I have heard her, and it sounds genuine to me. She's like, I truly did not think that these people were capable of doing these terrible things that I now believe that they're doing. And I can understand that. I don't know if it's valid. Sincere. Correct. But I'm just saying,
people learn more and do better. But
I understand that, and it's just like my whole thing is I look at Marjorie Taylor Greene similarly to Bernie Sanders in terms of Bernie Sanders.
My heart, Tony.
Sorry, are you a Bernie fan?
Yeah. Well, I would never put him in the same category as her.
Oh, well, here's where I'll explain it.
Explain it.
Tell us why.
Bernie has never once done what I believe he should have done and should be continuing to do given the circumstances we're dealing with in terms of condemning his unwitting support that he received from Russia in 2016 and his actions leading up to that election. And you have to look at the connections he had during that time. Tulsi Gabbard was, and I've written about this, was the vice chair of the DNC when the DNC got hacked by Russia. And then in early 2016, she resigned from that position to endorse Bernie. You look at his foundation. He's got Cornel West on his foundation, the Sanders Foundation, who was another third-party spoiler and oddball. He has Tulsi Gabbard on there, or she was on there before. I don't know if she's on there now, and a number of other. Nina Turner, who's another questionable entity in terms of how she's presented herself. So, given who he's surrounded himself with, along with his lack of being very vocal about Russian influence that he was part of, like I said, unwittingly, but he was still part of that. He should be a leader in saying, this is what's still going on. And, it's unfortunate that they used my position as a way to allow Trump to gain power and all of this. He's never come out. And even when he did release his taxes, his taxes were a thing just like Trump's for a while. It was like during the biggest news cycle at the moment, now it's at a given day in terms of news cycles and distractions.
Right.
But his taxes were, and, I would challenge anybody to correct me if I'm wrong here, but, when I looked at what he had released, they were basic, 1040 forms with no real itemizations of things and stuff like that. So even the taxes that were released seemed, they were 10 years of taxes, seemed questionable in terms of the production and what we were seeing given his life and what he's been involved in, foundations and other stuff. So,
well, if you think about it, and we've talked about this with pretty much every lifelong politician that is in our government currently, if you have been in a position of power for that long, you are compromised in some way, shape, or form, okay? Like, you don't get there without doing the thing. I believe I'm finding out. Okay. It seems to be like that's the thing. And so, I think it would be crazy to believe that he did not participate in any of that, especially him being still alive and in a position of power.
Well, one good thing about it is that it looks like his net worth is still like reasonable, like a normal, reasonable human, that he hasn't totally fleeced the government or fleeced industry or whatever. He did make some money off his book, but I mean, when you write a book, you're going to make some money off that. But so I just Googled while we were talking here, because I agree that's disappointing. And it does say, it says, yes, Bernie Sanders has repeatedly denounced Russian interference in U.S. elections. Following reports in February 2020 that U.S. officials briefed him on Russian attempting aid to his campaign, Sanders strongly condemned the interference, telling Vladimir Putin to stay out of American elections and stating that he stands against any foreign power interfering in democracy. And then about the 2016 election, he said that he called it an outrage that Hillary Clinton had to run against both Donald Trump and the Russian government in 2016, stating that no candidate should face such foreign intervention. So I'd like to think that some of that's true, that he has spoken, but like you say, Tony, I haven't heard him like pounding the podium talking about it.
And honestly, I mean, that's, I just go down to the core basics. But yeah,
when you got Tulsi Gabbard hanging around is a problem, but and I remember going to see them on that when he ran in 2016. I think it was in Springfield, Missouri. Like, I saw him and Tulsi Gabbard, and I remember thinking at the time that she's a charismatic gal. I bet she's got a future in politics, and oh my God, I wish I'd been wrong.
Did you guys ever watch that video that I had sent you about the cult that Tulsi Gabbard is a part of?
I read a little bit. I didn't watch the video, though.
It's okay. I know the videos are long, but it's called the Science of Identity. Let's see. Science of Identity Foundation, and it's a Hawaii-based religious organization founded in 1970s by Chris Butler. But there are Jeffrey Epstein ties over in Hawaii and human trafficking, all associated with people and this cult involvement. And during the past 20, 30 years of this cult, they've been really trying to cultivate someone to be in politics to further their agenda or whatever, much like, the Duggars, how they...
So they're just using whatever tools they can to get ahead.
Of brainwashed cult members.
Was it Todd Blanche that we just recently found out that he was in a cult?
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So, and I keep going back to, and, it seems somewhat obvious to me, but it seems like when Trump took power, he found a way to
trigger them through their mind-based control.
Not even trigger them, recruit them. I think he, knowing, having access to the CIA databases, having access to the informant databases. I mean, look what happened to some of our, CIA agents worldwide once we found out that some secret information. But I think he actually used that almost as a tool and just went through everything, or had his people go through everything and find all the nefarious people that were involved in various things that they could easily pull in and say, okay, we know this about you, so come on over and start
That's been
spewing
his
our
business model his entire career, his entire adult life.
Well, that's the interesting thing with Zampolli. Now that I'll go there, is I just
excellent
segue.
segue.
There's not a lot, when you look even at his wiki page. A couple months ago, it was like bare, and I'm like, somebody scrubbed this up for sure, because I had looked at it like back in the summer, and it had a lot more info, and then somebody scrubbed it up completely. And then now recently, there's some of the Amanda stuff on there, but it's still pretty bare. And I'm like, that tells me something. They're definitely trying to suppress information about him.
Right.
So what I did this morning is I just did a couple Google searches, and I said, Zampolli court cases, and I started coming across a number of things that seemed interesting. And I didn't dig too much. I just kind of spot checked a couple things here and there. And there's some court cases regarding the modeling business where they weren't paying the models the right amount back in the 90s with that involved both elite models and ID models and Ford models, all of the models that these women have been involved in, and this ring has been a part of. So there were court cases that they were conducting fraud back then on when his aunt spoke this weekend, where they released that thing. And I just posted the English subtitled version of that today. Is his aunt said when he was young, he would push cars into the rivers and ponds to get insurance money out of them. So, conducting
Still a con
insurance.
man.
It's going to be awkward at holidays.
And then there's also real estate stuff. There's
him on
cases involving him and his involvement in real estate. And the real estate company he was working for was called Paramount Group. And I had posted this and just, a little bit of information for people is, the Paramount Group is the same real estate company that was selling the current Pope's Chicago childhood home.
Oh, interesting. All ties together, doesn't it?
Yeah, it all ties together. And so there's, but when I started looking at that stuff, I was like, oh, he really is the Italian Trump. I mean, basically, he's been committing fraud his entire life. No education. I mean, he literally only had an 8th grade education, and he was sent off to southern Italy to go to school because he couldn't do the formal normal education in Milan, and then he ended up not even finishing high school, from what I can tell.
You guys realize that these people are literally just characters playing a role, like, in a fucking play? Like, they're making it like they don't, like, they're just, like, playing a part, but they're, like, large children that never fucking grew up.
Yeah. Absolutely.
That's insane. That's insane.
It really is.
Yeah. And, Amanda, she's still doing fine. I think she's going to be talking to, I think I told you guys maybe last week, maybe Vanity Fair soon, if she has not already talked to them. I only hear from her a little bit here and there. Her husband texts me pretty often, though. I get a lot of stuff from him. I did look into their court cases and stuff. I still think there is some question about what was going on with those cases, but I think even if there's question about what was going on, I still have a hard time believing that they would have invested $3 million into a business that was fraudulent.
Wait, give me a little background again.
What? So the court case that they were arrested and jailed for,
the Mesa, right?
The beauty consultant school, basically. So it was a school to train people how to do various procedures and stuff like that. Yeah. And, and I looked at it before I even was talking to Amanda to try to understand what it was. There's very little information about it, which to me, right at the beginning was like a red flag. Like, okay, there's not a lot of information about this. So it's either being suppressed or it's not, they're not sharing a lot for a reason. And, but, so there's question about procedures that were happening there. There appear to be some civil cases from people that actually had gotten procedures done there. Again, I'm only sharing information that I did see online. Whether those are legit, I did not go into any of that. But what it appears and what's been shared with me, and I've already put it out there, is that back in January of 2025 is when Paulo really got this process started, and he started sending anonymous tips. There's proof now. I was told that they have actual proof that it was Paolo Zampolli that made these anonymous tips, and and then as far as the ICE uh, part of it, when they were arrested, Paulo immediately called, from what I understand, called the Aventura Police Department, because that's where they were, and casually asked. He admitted this. I just wanted to see what her status was with ICE, because blah 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 blah, and essentially it was him pushing them to detain her, because when you look at the arrest paperwork that I do have a copy of, it shows that she was held for ICE. So, and it's a double-edged sword. Her husband was able to uh, bond out, and then he's on an electric monitor still, and they keep delaying things. I can share this. They like the prosecution one day that something was happened. Their computer wasn't working properly. And then, so they had to wait another week. And then the next week it was, then the prosecutor was sick. So there's been like 3 different delays that keeps pushing things off.
Right.
What I found this morning is May 14th, less than 2 weeks away. There's an actual hearing about the case. I'm hoping, and I actually told John myself yesterday, I said, you guys need to kind of start pushing back pretty hard about defamation, about the things that he's saying. I said I think his aunt has a case because he called his aunt a liar when his aunt was talking about the things that he was doing. I think Amanda has a defamation case. The country of Brazil has a defamation. All the women of Brazil have a defamation case against him. And I said you should just rain fire of lawsuits on him.
Right.
Yes, is honestly what I believe should happen. And just start putting the spotlight on him like there's no tomorrow, and don't let it go away, and just start making him, because that's what they do. That's what Trump does, and that's what he's trying to do, saying he's doing all these civil lawsuits. Yeah. So just, play the same playbook and turn it around on him.
Which is exactly...
It's either volume or nuisance. Yeah, like people can't afford to defend all that,
Yeah. Well, and with this whole thing, I think even if there's validity to some of the concerns about what was going on in the clinic, which again I don't know,
right?
I think the way it's been handled is easily a way for them to kind of get the case
manipulate
dropped.
And
I mean, you look at all the things. Everybody knows that if the Hunter laptop case ever went to court, it would immediately. I mean, they play a bunch of bullshit, but it'd immediately be thrown out just based off of the who had possession of it.
The blind computer fixer and Rudy Giuliani.
Yeah, so all of that, just the fact that other people had it in their possession and things are questionable, and then when you get into the metadata of all of the stuff that was on that laptop, it's going to blow the case out of the water as far as I'm concerned. But as long as they can continue to just use it as a talking point, they're never going to progress to that.
Just a talking point. Just a way to get everybody fired up about a distraction so that they can be,
So I know Amanda still, she did I didn't know she was writing the book. I honestly didn't. She just told me that last week. I still don't believe that it's a money grab. I know a lot of people think it might be a money grab, and that's why she's doing that. But I don't think so. Her and Zhao do very well. He told me he got a new position out of Switzerland now, and of a biomedical company. And they lost that they've essentially lost the $3 million investment in the company in Florida because of everything that's going on and shut it down. But he says they're just looking to move on and move forward. And, he's got a job. She's doing okay down there. They're separated because she can't technically enter the United States without being arrested because she's considered a fugitive because she was detained by ICE from lockup, and then she was deported,
Wow.
So now she can't actually come back to the United States without being arrested because they have her listed as a fugitive from this court thing. And then Zhao is on electric monitor, so he can't even go anywhere to even visit Amanda in Brazil or do anything. So there's this, she can't come see her son. Paulo's definitely not letting the son go see Amanda. And, and that's one of my biggest concerns. And I think a lot of people, I keep posting about it too, is that poor kid, what the hell is he going through right now?
I can't even imagine.
Just the separation between his parents is hard enough for most people. And, you can only imagine what he lived. I mean, Amanda has told me about the fact that, Paulo would have these, he's a big partier, and he would have, because he's a, look at me type of guy, and he has all these parties, all the time. And they were, cocaine fueled parties and underage girls and all this other stuff. I think in one of the, tapes that was released, one of the victims who was hidden in terms of their identity said something about a party that she went to that women and what appeared to be underage girls, when they walked into the apartments, they were required to strip naked.
Good Lord.
Yeah. And, and Amanda told me about, she had gotten tired of that lifestyle, and she just wanted to have a normal lifestyle with her child and, raise him normally. And these things would be going on, and, they'd be up in another, in their room while Paulo's having these big bashes and whatever else going on down, on other floors of the home. And like right now, he is in Miami, we know, for the F1, because F1 Formula One racing is huge in Italy and all of that. Sure. Flavio Briatore is like a big Formula One guy. He's there now. I looked at his Instagram today, looking who he was hanging out with and stuff. They're down there. Kardashians are down. I looked up who was in Miami right now for all this, and there's a bunch of high profile people, a bunch of celebrities down there. I saw, pictures on Flavio's thing of him with Naomi Campbell recently, which you know how I feel about Naomi. I mean, it's this whole group of people that just keep sticking together, and they're this big pedophile ring that has
popping up, don't they?
Yeah, never had any accountability.
Yeah.
Well, you know that when they have those big events like in Miami, that is a huge child trafficking event. And I remember when the Super Bowl was there a couple years ago, and I had a friend that was down there, and she was like, I can just tell that there is so much nasty shit going down. Like, I just, ugh.
Well, I mean, in the files too, there are files that talk about Epstein, doing that for the St. Petersburg Economic Forum and providing girls and women for that in Russia. And there's also indications of him doing the same thing in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia during the summits there, And so it doesn't surprise me that, a big event like in Miami, especially like this isn't going to attract all of that.
I have a question about, in general terms, because that, again, business model, right? It seems to be like he would either put or con people into a compromising position and then blackmail them for the rest of their life. Okay, why is it that after a while, word doesn't get out to say, hey, don't hang out near this guy, you're going to get compromised or your bad things will happen? Why did people continue to pull themselves into his orbit, knowing they had to know?
I agree. Every time I look at a picture he posts, he just posted a picture with the president of Romania, I think yesterday or 2 days ago, and somebody's like, "Oh, that must be why the Tate brothers, aren't in trouble in Romania." So there just seems to be this influence that he has, that maybe his influence and his access outweighs their concern about their own blackmail. You know what I'm saying? If that makes sense.
It does, but like if I heard any of that was happening, I'd be like, I'd just never go. Why would you
Well,
go?
I mean, look at all the people that, as soon as Jeffrey Epstein got out of jail, he was welcomed with open arms back into New York society.
Yeah,
it must be money. It has to be money.
Well, and and I think there's this level of contrived benefit of what do they call when you don't want somebody to know something just to protect them.
Plausible deniability.
There's this contrived plausible deniability among these people, because when you look at I thought about this, when you look at the Epstein case from 2008, ultimately he was charged with something very minimal, solicitation of a prostitute, and paying an underage person. That was like the two charges that he was charged for, and it was like 13 months, and he was in Club Med, just like I mean, he had work release. He could leave. He had work release.
He was molesting girls during his sentence.
Yes, and that's the thing is, so this plausible deniability by the rest of the world is, oh, that wasn't anything, or I'm not real aware of that, but his influence is what I need in my life, and then ultimately he probably found ways to blackmail them, and Zampolli is known for Zampolli is a mix of Epstein and Trump, because Zampolli is known to have had cameras and recording devices all over his Gramercy Place home. And, I mean, Victoria Drake even discussed that. And, she said in her...
and can you remind us, for folks at home, who Victoria Drake is?
Victoria Drake is the woman who allegedly was raped by Paolo Zampolli on October 23rd, in October of 2023. And she actually went and she did everything right. She filed a police report. She got a rape test kit done. They did find evidence of abuse had occurred on her, and the case was dropped. She has subsequently been continually harassed by Paolo Zampolli in an effort to silence her, and even in an effort to pay her off. And that stuff that she had discussed. There was a discussion of $700,000 payments that Zampolli had with her that she recorded on tape, and $350,000 of that he said was coming from the White House drone defense fund. So the White House is literally helping Paolo Zampolli pay off women and attempting to pay off women.
It's not the first time they've funneled money to do that.
Like, is it delivering the package of money? Like the drone is coming to, like, here's your money, and that's why it's from the drone. I hate it here.
Imagine if that's what's happening with the White House right there. Imagine all the other schemes going on to pay people off. I mean, this is, we see what happened with Stormy Daniels. We see what happened with Karen McDougal, and probably countless others, including all the Epstein victims.
That's where your tax money and tariff money's going, paying off fucking rape victims. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, and then you've got go ahead.
What jurisdiction was that in? That Ms. Drake, filed the charges?
It was in New York City.
It was in New York City. Okay.
Yeah. So because she was at the Gramercy Place home. I mean, the pictures that were posted, that were shared, show her at the Gramercy Place home. She says one thing, and she confirmed this with me the other night, because like I said, I talked to her on TikTok Live. She confirmed with me, she had talked about again that when she was in one of the rooms, that when they had first got there, there was a table that literally, and it just reminded me of Scarface, that she said just was piled with cocaine, and she said she had a couple sips of wine, and that's all she remembers. So it sounds like she was likely roofied or something to that extent, is what it sounds like, because she doesn't remember, and she woke up with bruises, and she was naked, and she had to beg for them to give her something to wear to leave, and all of this. So and that was October. There are other indications of other assaults that occurred that I've been made aware of that I think will come out in time, but it seems to be what his MO is, just like almost anybody else, and he's getting away with it. They're literally one of the things today is they're literally in Miami at the F1 race. Last night, and I posted it this morning, Paolo posted a picture at 2 a.m. Eastern time in Miami.
I saw it.
And I'm like, Coke is it.
Yeah.
Because,
Maybe
he's a
you need to go to
prolific.
bed. Come
And
on.
there are multiple witnesses that have already come out and vocally stated that he is a prolific cocaine user. I've told how he travels with cocaine. I've shared pictures of cocaine in his home, and nobody's doing anything about it.
Well, that's the thing right now. Like, who's gonna do anything? I'm sure they're just like going crazy with impunity. All of them, all of them. Until we don't have a function. I feel like a broken record. We don't have a functional DOJ. We don't have a functional FBI. We don't have a functional anything now as far as justice goes.
We don't have a functional media.
Exactly. Like that arm is dead.
But we do have Tony, the internet sleuth, and a couple girls that like to talk shit. So
that's a start.
I think it's important. And, somebody posted yesterday, I posted something, and they're like, I don't think anything's going to happen. I'm like, you know what? I'm not going to not let anything happen. I have enough information that in time, even if these other people go sideways, sorry, it's who I am. I've said it. I told you guys from the beginning. If it comes to a point that I have to share information that I have, because the other people aren't, and we're getting to a point that the accountability is going away, then I'm going to do something about it. I don't have a ton of power, but I'm at least going to put that shit out there, and I at least have the visibility now and some connections to get people to pay attention.
Yeah, you have a fair amount of followers, so that's a good thing.
You do, and people trust you, which the trust is gone with everybody else. So the fact that you can make personal trust with your viewers and followers is just so important. And I think I was listening to something earlier, and they used the statement, it's not who is right or wrong, it's what is right or wrong. And that is what, like, we always talk about this. It's not sides, it's not right or left, it's not this side or this side. It's literally, that's wrong. That's wrong. That's it. Like, it's that easy. And so we just have all of these civil servants that took an oath to the Constitution that they never read. And it's just...
And, I was thinking about that, too, is you got me thinking specifically, Tina, because of your alleged Epstein Trump pictures in bathrooms at various locations. And it got me thinking about what I've always talked about is this all has to be grassroots in terms of sharing information.
Absolutely.
We need to teach people how to resist in ways like that, or at least be a vocal person who is knowledgeable enough. Because like at my work now, people have come up to me and they're like, what's this? And because they saw me on their Facebook and I was with Billy Bush,
Yeah.
And, and where I'm at, people are going, that's just crazy to them. So I'm building a little bit of a reputation in terms of at least being knowledgeable at what's going on. And people are starting to ask you. Yeah, people are asking me questions now. And I'm able to share now. And I don't want to overwhelm them. And there can be, each of us can be that person.
Yeah.
Well, and that also means that they're open to the information, because a lot of the time I'm walking around like, and they're not ready to hear the and so they're like, what the fuck are you, who is Gerald? And I'm like, so, I have to I'm like, you don't know about Poopy Pants, you don't know about the dolphin, I don't, you're really behind. Where would you like to start? And so
much.
But
you need a document. Like, here, go read this and come back when you're done. We'll start where you want.
But the fact that they're asking and they know where to go, because they're not going to the traditional sources that we have been taught, because they're starting to realize that, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad owned this book. That's probably why it fucking lied to me. So, reclaiming your sovereign, again, it's going to be individuals that do something. The system will not do it, because the system is functioning correctly. It is protecting the people in power.
Yeah.
Even if they're the bad people. Even if they're the bad people.
But what I found with a lot of the people that I'm kind of talking to and they're, asking me questions, or, they're opening their eyes a little bit, is they didn't vote. It's a lot of those 39% that I've always talked about. We can sit here and we can fight about wanting to change MAGA and convince MAGA, but MAGA is not really the problem.
It's a waste of time.
Yeah, the problem is the majority of people that are just like, I didn't like either one, so I didn't vote.
Yep, that's true. If we get those and swing people, then we can make some changes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I know that we're not talking about the shooting last week, the shooting, okay, but I heard someone reference the Trump photo of him hiding behind that curtain as the cup picture, and I just want to hiding and watching from the corner. And I am going to be using that term quite often from going forward. Look at that cuck in the corner. Cuck in the corner is what they were calling it. But I was reading about that in the comments of the article about Stephen Miller arguing that he was not using his pregnant wife as a human shield while feeling her up. Like, his hands were on her fucking tits. And the reason was, both of them said it, was because he didn't want to put pressure on the baby. So, while Trump was watching it all
I'm never going to give Stephen Miller a break, ever.
I just thought it was so funny.
I don't know how I would react if... Well, for one thing, like...
He knew it was coming, Baker.
Yeah, they knew it was coming. But... I mean, in fairness, like, who knows what they would do if they were trying to get their loved one out of a room where there's a shooter. But again, I'm not giving Stephen Miller any breaks. Screw that guy.
The rectal polyp.
Well, just like Melania, me, I throw things out there sometimes just to poke the bears.
Yes.
And that's what I did with that close-up of Melania and her wrinkles.
Lines.
Her smoker lines.
Her DSLs.
And I wanted to just see who would respond and how they would respond. And I was surprised how many people were like, that's not bad. And I get it. I'm like, it's, you know what? It's Melania. Don't give her any credit for shit. And, of course I had a lot of MAGA come in and try. And I'm like, hypocrisy. I love it.
Tony, those aren't cigarette lines. Those are dick sucking lines, Tony.
Oh,
okay. Sorry, I'm done. DSLs. That's what I call them. Okay. Okay. Before we're at almost 15 minutes talking shit, so that's really good. But I did want to just inform people of some other shit that's been going on. The weird cyborg Jared Kushner. I don't even know what he is. He just is very creepy looking. But he was at a summit talking about, or not a summit, but like some forum, the unelected official that is rebuilding Gaza in charge of that. Also, I just want to remind people that Jared Kushner literally is not a government employee, so he has not passed a background check. He has to follow 0 rules that government people have to follow.
Let's just make sure everybody understands he is also a special envoy.
Yes.
Just like Paolo Zampolli.
And to the contrary, the first Trump presidency, they tried to get him clearance, and he could not get it because he's nefarious as hell, and he has a background that would be a red flag under the best of times.
And just to remind everybody, it's well known that during the first administration, Trump did not read the daily briefings.
Oh, no.
We've heard of stories about that, but Jared consistently did.
Yeah. He's like, as far as any of them can be considered, mentally outstanding, he would be the brains of the operation at this point, I think. Which is frightening. But yeah. And again, how I feel, it's all back to money. And I think his long-term goal has nothing to do with religion. It has nothing to do with anything but making a lot of money developing Gaza after
I think that's the one thing I want to kind of add to this is, a lot of these, they use racism and they use various religious, entities as talking points and weaponize them in various ways. But the reality is none of them are just like Jeffrey Epstein. I said he wasn't necessarily a spy for any given country. He was a free agent for a lot of them, and to base it for the money and the blackmail and everything and the power. And I think we have this. And I go back to the Tom Cruise movie. I forget which one it was, Rogue Nation or something like that, where this group of people, these transnational organized criminals, combined with these dictators, combined with these uh, oligarchs and these tech leaders, have created their own system of governing the world that they're trying to implement into place.
The shadow government. Welcome in the New World Order.
Yes, it really is. And
like the cabal on the blacklist.
Yeah.
Right? It's all the,
and then
all
there's
the
all
same
the
thing,
other
just
stuff,
different names.
all the ritual stuff, I mean, I've been
and
told...
we're paying for it. That's what fucking pisses me off. We're paying for a fucking shadow government that is killing us. Like, Jesus Christ. Maybe Marjorie Taylor Greene is right. We need to watch that video on how to not pay our... Okay, just the not paying your taxes portion. I can get behind that.
Let me talk about that real quick. There's plenty of ways to do that legally, and they all know the loopholes in doing that. And but I think I told you before, when I worked at a local business, and we used to attract all the local wealthy people that owned the big businesses in this area. And I remember one of them come in, a real prominent guy, and he was talking with the owner, and they were chuckling about PPP loans, and they were like, none of us paid any of that back. Again, it's part of the system. They knew, I think when they went and did that, they kind of told everybody, go do this. I mean, what? Matt Gaetz got $500,000.
Yeah. No, they
absolutely That dude went to jail, though, right?
Yes. Huh?
That dude went to jail, didn't he?
Matt Gaetz?
No, not Matt Gaetz. The dude you're talking about.
No.
He didn't go to jail?
No.
Oh. No, none of them did.
None of them did.
Okay, I personally know a business that was not going to get the PP loan because they were like, we're doing okay without it. Mm-hmm. And literally, they were told by their financial advisor, no, you get that. And they're like, well, we don't want to pay it back. And he's like, no, you won't be paying. No one's going to pay it back. And so they fucking took it. Because literally it was a smash and grab, bro. Mm-hmm. But and then we got those checks for $1,000 with Donald Trump's fucking name on it. Mm-hmm. Like, but that PPP, the big PPP.
Yeah.
Well, and then you've got tax loopholes for businesses. I mean, I realized when I started a business, there's just certain things that you could, and you don't even have to manipulate. It's just things, if you're running a normal business, that you claim on your taxes and that you do, that leads you to being able to have a less tax liability in terms of...
Which in turn makes everyday people have to pay more taxes.
Yep.
And that is what the collective is fucking mad about. I know that there's an Amazon warehouse close to where I live. And the roads that lead to the Amazon warehouse, because it's in the middle of nowhere, are completely broken down now. Like, I mean, completely broken down. And then you go and look at how, because there's Amazon vans and trucks and semis that drive on it multiple times, and that traffic was just simply not there prior to the Amazon factory. And then you go and look at how much money that Amazon's warehouse paid in taxes locally, which would fix the road. That's what we think. They didn't pay any.
Yeah. People should be outraged.
And now my car tires are getting fucked up because of...
People aren't mad enough. It's true.
But I did want to go back with the Jared Kushner. Mm-hmm. He just wanted to let everybody know that it is under control, okay? There is peace in Gaza because of Donald Trump's leadership, and multiple companies are investing in Gaza to rebuild it, okay? But if anybody else would like, I know he said he knows that it seems like a risky investment at this time, but it is going to be successful. So if anybody wants to invest.
I don't know if what's worse, like a slimy piece of crap like him saying things like that, or the people actually believe it. Like.
Yeah. Well, this goes back to, I mean, did you grow up in Democrat households or
Nobody ever talked about politics in my
Okay.
house.
We were a Democrat union.
Okay. Because the one thing I found, and mostly through Randy, because I grew up in a poorer area and mostly Democrat driven, is it's a generational thing too. People just grow up, and if their parents were Republican, they just kind of latch on to that, and that's just who they are, and they go with it, no matter what, because
Right.
and they were groomed to be that way, and it's hard to break it out of them because this is just who my family was.
It's just part of their identity.
Yeah, this is part of my identity.
Why do they call college woke indoctrination places? Because it was the first time that these children have heard an idea outside of their household.
Yep.
And then they come back with a different idea. So then, hence, it's the woke indoctrination. I mean, in my mind, that's...
Yeah, no, it is that simple, But, it's unfortunate we're at where we're at because I think we're past the point of no return in terms of getting back to what America was
it's
before.
Gone. And the only option we have is to build something better because what we had now is gone. What we had.
And, what we have, the foundation of things can be used, but we really have to look at every aspect of our government and how we've allowed what allowed us to get to this point is what needs to be looked at. And the last thing I want to say about everything too is no one's still talking about the fact that I don't give a shit if there's a blue wave because I know there's going to be, and we continue to see it even this week. But what are we going to do in November when they don't allow? I mean, look what they're doing with these with the Jeremy.
Louisiana, man.
Yeah.
And
they called that election off. It was mid-election.
Yeah. So let's say that a strong majority of Democrats win their House elections, their local Senate elections. And what do we do when they won't seat them? What do we do then?
And that's exactly
Ideas,
what I'm
anyone?
saying. Yeah, I would hope somebody's working and talking about that because that's exactly what's going to happen. The not seating is one thing, but the contesting the election and each election in themselves, I think, is going to be another thing. I think the rigging of the elections is going to be another thing. We're going to see everything thrown at the wall here.
Right.
Trump is doing a press conference right now. He said he was doing something at 4 p.m. today.
He must have got his infusion.
Well, yeah, I'm curious what and again, it's probably a market manipulation thing because it's Sunday.
Yep.
So he's got to mess with the market so that his cronies can make a bunch of money, or at least Barron can.
It's all a con. Sometimes I think about the parliamentarian in the House. Like under normal circumstances, and again, I don't think we've ever had to worry about it, but the parliamentarian is the one that's allowed to enforce order in the House, right? So if the standard wasn't being followed and they were refusing to seat people, couldn't he technically take into custody the person who is refusing to do that, which I assume would be the speaker?
We would hope. But do we really think it's going to work that way?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
I'm just thinking through how it's supposed to work.
Well, and that's where I think we need to think through exactly that. And how do we counter it when they do not follow the rules, when that individual doesn't do what they're supposed to do? I mean, we had heard way back, when conspiracies back in 2016, 2017 with Louise Mensch talking about the marshal, the marshal of Congress going and arresting people on a tarmac, and that they were supposed to do all of that.
Still waiting.
Yeah, still waiting. So we have to think through. Well, we know how our system's supposed to work, but we also know none of it's going to.
I think I'm using the wrong term too. So if anybody knows the person that I'm referring to, please.
It is
give us a shout.
Marshal at Arms.
Yeah, Sergeant at Arms?
Sergeant at Arms.
Sergeant
Yes, Sergeant at Arms.
That's
yes.
right. That's right. Not
That's
the
who it is.
parliamentarian, Sergeant at Arms.
Yeah.
My bad.
Bro, we got like prolific pedophiles running throughout that building. They ain't doing shit. I want them to, but again, I think this is gonna go back to, no. Like, no, we're not going to allow this. No. We're all gonna have to sacrifice some stuff. Like, we need to embody our 9-year-old, our mom just said no. And I really want to go to this birthday party. So, we're not doing it. We're not. You're not doing this. You're not. We're going to go take it over. I don't know what we're going to do, but we're going. I'm done.
Well, and we still have 6 months to get to that point. Lord knows what's going to happen in the next 6 months.
It's going to be a whole bunch of fucking psyops, I'll tell you that. Well, we'll be here with the conspiracies that are no longer theories. And, we'll talk about it all.
We will.
All right. Anything else? We're at about an hour.
Yep. Before we close down, I just want to shout out to folks that are listening from places near and far. Folks in Italy. What's up?
Yeah, I was reading through some comments.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah. Hey.
We appreciate it.
Folks here in mid-Missouri.
Everywhere. I looked at, and the YouTube is really doing well. I appreciate it. I like that.
Yeah, no, me too. And everybody's talking in there, so we super appreciate that.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah. Oh, and also, I did also hear an update. Our Kuwait base is toast, by the way. There's finally some reporting on our bases barely got touched. The Kuwait base. I encourage everybody to go look at that if they want to be depressed.
Okay.
Because that was billions of dollars.
I mean, we had talked about that before. I mean,
we knew, but
every single base is unusable now for us.
Yeah, so. But there are photos now, so they're probably AI. Trump said they're AI, so they're probably not fucking real. Okay, all right, guys. Well, you go enjoy the nice weather and maybe plant your garden because the strait is still closed.
Yeah, let's talk about that next because I don't think people realize, with only a quarter of farmers being able to get the fertilizer they need and 46% increase in farmer bankruptcies, we're in some deep trouble real soon.
Hey, China's going to buy them.
Okay, great.
Start your garden. Take care. Bye.